The attic smells like forgotten promises and stale regret. Dust motes dance in the beam of sunlight streaming through the small window, making the air look thick enough to chew. I've been sorting through my grandparents' belongings for hours, boxing up decades of memories they've collected in this cramped space. Welcome to today's tale. Before we begin, share your location with our community. Let's see how far these stories travel. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Now then. My name is June, and I'm doing what good granddaughters do, helping clear out the mess before they downsize to their new condo. At least that's what I tell myself as I wade through cardboard boxes and steamer trunks. Found anything interesting up there? Grandma Helen's voice floats up from below. Just more Christmas decorations, I call back, pushing aside a box labeled 1985 tax returns. And about 50 years of Reader's Digest. That's when I see it, a pale blue envelope peeking out from beneath a stack of old photo albums. The paper is thin, delicate, like it might crumble in my hands. My mother's handwriting jumps out at me immediately. I'd recognize those precise, angular letters anywhere. The letter is dated March 15, 1999. I would have been 3 months old. Dear Mom. I don't know how to say this without sounding terrible, but I need to tell someone. I never wanted a second child. Robert and I were perfect with just Jessica. She was everything we dreamed of, beautiful, smart, our little miracle. This new baby. June. She feels like an intruder. Every time she cries, I want to scream. Robert barely looks at her. We're both just going through the motions. I know you'll judge me for this, but I had to tell someone. Sometimes I look at her and feel nothing but regret. Love. Emily. The paper trembles in my hands. My throat closes up, and something hot and sharp twists in my chest. All those years of sideways glances, forgotten birthdays, and half-hearted hugs suddenly make perfect sense. June. You've gone quiet up there. Grandma's voice again, tinged with concern. I stuffed the letter in my pocket. I'm fine, I manage, but my voice cracks on the second word. Footsteps on the stairs. Grandma appears in the attic doorway, her face softening when she sees me. Oh, sweetheart. You found it. You knew about this. She crosses the room and pulls me into her arms. I smell her familiar lavender perfume, feel the softness of her cardigan against my cheek. Your grandfather and I have been trying to protect you since the day you were born. From what? The truth that my own parents never wanted me. From their limitations, she says firmly. Their inability to see what was right in front of them, a beautiful, brilliant girl who deserved so much more than their indifference. I pull away, wiping my eyes with the back of my hand. Is that why you and Grandpa have always been there? Of course. We saw what was happening. We couldn't stand by and watch you fade into Jessica's shadow. The letter burns in my pocket like a brand. All those years of trying to prove myself, of competing with Jessica's golden child status. Of seeking approval that would never come, it wasn't just in my head. It was real. It is real. What do I do now? I whisper. Grandma takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. You live. You thrive. You show them exactly what they missed out on. She pauses, studying my face. And maybe, just maybe, you make them regret every moment they took you for granted. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates realigning. The hurt is still there, but it's hardening into something else, something with edges sharp enough to cut. I think I'd like that, I say quietly, and for the first time since finding the letter, I smile. Grandma squeezes my hand. Then let's start with getting you through college. Your grandfather and I have been saving for years. It's time you knew about that too. The attic suddenly feels less like a graveyard of memories and more like a launching pad. I may have been an unwanted child, but I'm done being an unwanted adult. My mother's words might have broken something inside me today, but they've also set something free. And I intend to make every single one of them remember this moment. 3 days after finding the letter, I'm sitting at my parents' dining room table, pretending to care about Jessica's wedding color schemes. My sister spreads magazine clippings across the polished mahogany like she's planning a military campaign. The venue alone is $60,000, Jessica announces, tapping a glossy photo of some vineyard estate. But Daddy already promised it's not an issue. Mother beams at her. Nothing but the best for our special girl. I concentrate on my coffee, watching the cream swirl into patterns. My acceptance letter to graduate school burns a hole in my bag, the one I haven't mentioned yet because I already know what they'll say. Or won't say. June could help with the centerpieces, Jessica suggests, not looking up from her magazines. Save us some money there. I can't, I say. I'll be busy with school. Now they look at me. Mother's perfectly plucked eyebrows arch upward. Still. Surely you've gotten enough education by now. I got accepted to Columbia's financial analytics program. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Full-time, starting this fall. The silence that follows feels like a vacuum. Jessica's mouth twists into something between a smirk and a frown. How exactly are you planning to pay for that? I've been saving, I say. And Grandma and Grandpa. Oh, June. Mother's voice drips with familiar disappointment. You can't keep expecting your grandparents to support you. They're getting older. They need to think about their own future. Father finally looks up from his phone. Columbia's expensive. We've already committed our resources to Jessica's wedding. Maybe in a few years. A few years. I grip my coffee mug tighter. Like after you've paid for Jessica's third destination wedding. That's uncalled for, Mother snaps. Your sister found real love this time. Michael is different. Jessica preens. He's already talking about buying that house in Greenwich. Once his startup takes off. Which startup is this? I ask. The fourth one. Fifth. You're just jealous, Jessica hisses. Some of us actually have ambition. I stand up so quickly my chair scrapes against the floor. Ambition. I worked through undergrad. I maintained a 4.0 GPA. I got into one of the top graduate programs in the country. But none of that matters because I'm not Jessica. Sit down, Father orders. You're being dramatic. Through the dining room window, I spot Grandpa's car pulling into the driveway. He's early to pick me up. Thank God. I have to go, I say, grabbing my bag. Enjoy planning the $60,000 party. June. Mother's voice stops me at the door. We just want what's best for you. Maybe it's time to be practical. Get a job, start building a real life instead of hiding in school. I turn back slowly. You know what? You're right. It is time to be practical. Time to accept that nothing I do will ever be enough for you. Because I'm not your real daughter, I'm just your regret. Mother's face goes white. What are you talking about? Ask Grandma about the letter, I say, and walk out. Grandpa's waiting in his old Volvo, radio playing soft jazz. One look at my face and he knows. Rough meeting. They're spending $60,000 just on the venue for Jessica's wedding. My voice shakes. But when I mentioned grad school. Already taken care of, he says quietly. Your grandmother and I set up a trust for your education years ago. We knew this day would come. I stare at him. But that's your retirement money. He chuckles. June, watching you succeed will be better than any retirement. Now, want to tell me what really happened in there? You look like you dropped quite a bomb. I mentioned the letter. My hands clench in my lap. I shouldn't have, but... Good. Good. Sometimes people need their comfortable lives disrupted. He puts the car in drive. Now, how about we go get some ice cream and talk about Colombia? As we pull away, I catch a glimpse of Mother watching from the window. For the first time, I don't feel the usual stab of guilt and longing. Instead, I feel something new taking root, something that tastes like freedom and burns like revenge. The mortgage documents scatter across my laptop screen like pieces of a puzzle I never wanted to solve. My hands shake as I scroll through the county records database, each click revealing another layer of my parents' financial desperation. Second mortgage. Home equity line of credit. Personal loans. All taken out within the last 3 months. All coinciding perfectly with Jessica's wedding preparations. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mother. We need to discuss your attitude at the next wedding planning meeting. I ignore it, focusing instead on the numbers that don't lie. They've leveraged everything, the house, their retirement accounts, even Dad's life insurance policy, all for Jessica's perfect day. A knock at my bedroom door makes me jump. Come in, Grandma. She enters with a cup of tea, her face creasing with concern when she sees my expression. You found something. They're drowning themselves for her. I turn the laptop around. Look at these numbers. They'll lose everything if anything goes wrong. If Michael's latest startup fails again, if Jessica decides she needs more, Grandma finishes, setting down the tea. Your sister has always been very good at getting what she wants. My phone buzzes again. Jessica, this time, Mom's really upset about what you said. You need to apologize. I need to stop this, I say, standing up. They're making a huge mistake. June. But I'm already grabbing my keys, anger propelling me forward. The drive to my parents' house takes 15 minutes. I rehearse what I'll say, how I'll make them see reason. They have to listen this time. I find them in the living room with Jessica and Michael, surrounded by wedding catalogs and champagne flutes. Mother's face hardens when she sees me. We're in the middle of something, she says. Yeah, you're in the middle of destroying yourselves. I pull up the mortgage documents on my phone. Want to explain this? Father stands up, his face flushing. You had no right to look into our private affairs. Private? It's public record. Just like the foreclosure will be when you can't make the payments. Jessica sets down her champagne. What's she talking about? Nothing, Mother says quickly. June is just being dramatic again. They've mortgaged everything, I say, looking directly at Jessica. The house, their savings, everything, for your wedding. Michael shifts uncomfortably. Jessica, maybe we should. Shut up, she snaps at him before turning to our parents. Is this true? Are you paying for everything? Of course we are, Mother says. You deserve. I thought Michael's family was contributing, Jessica's voice rises. You said they were handling half. Michael stands up. My parents can't. I mean, with the market being what it is. You lied to me. Jessica's perfect facade cracks. Both of you. Sweetheart, Father starts. Don't. She grabs her purse. I can't believe this. Michael, we're leaving. They storm out, leaving behind the heavy silence of unspoken truths. Mother turns to me, her eyes blazing. Are you happy now? You've ruined everything. I ruined it. You're literally bankrupting yourselves for her fantasy wedding, and I'm the problem. Get out, Father says quietly. And don't come back until you're ready to apologize. I laugh, and it sounds strange even to my ears. Apologize? For what? Caring enough to try to stop you from destroying yourselves? For not being Jessica? That's enough. Mother stands up. I won't have you speaking to us this way in our home. Fine. I head for the door, then stop. But when this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crying to me. We would never, Mother says, her voice ice cold. You've made it very clear where your loyalties lie. I turn back one last time. My loyalties. That's rich coming from someone who regretted having me from the day I was born. The color drains from her face. Father looks between us, confused. Emily, he asks. What is she talking about? But I don't stay to watch that particular bomb detonate. I walk out, letting the door slam behind me. In my car, I sit for a long moment, hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Grandpa. Come home, June. We'll figure this out together. I start the engine, leaving behind the house that holds 22 years of rejection. It's time to stop trying to save people who never wanted to be saved in the first place. My Columbia acceptance letter sits on Grandpa's desk while he reviews my financial aid package. 2 weeks have passed since the confrontation, and the silence from my parents speaks volumes. Jessica's wedding has been postponed indefinitely, according to the Family Gossip Network. These numbers look good, Grandpa says, adjusting his reading glasses. With our savings and this scholarship. A knock at the front door interrupts him. Through the window, I spot Jessica's Mercedes in the driveway. I'll handle it, I tell him, but he shakes his head. Let her in. Sometimes the hardest conversations are the most necessary. Jessica looks smaller somehow, standing in Grandpa's study. Her designer outfit can't hide the shadows under her eyes or the way her hands keep fidgeting with her engagement ring. Michael left, she says without preamble. His startup was a scam. He took what was left of his trust fund and disappeared. I wait for the satisfaction to hit, but it doesn't come. I'm sorry. No, you're not. She sinks into a leather chair. You tried to warn everyone. God, what a mess. She looks at Grandpa. Did you know about Mom's letter? Helen showed it to me the day she received it, he says quietly. We made certain decisions that day about how to protect June. Jessica's laugh sounds hollow. Protect her. While I was being set up to fail. She turns to me. Do you know what it's like being the golden child? The pressure to be perfect. To never disappoint. Do you know what it's like being the disappointment? I counter. The one they never wanted in the first place. They're losing the house, she says abruptly. The bank called yesterday. Dad's been missing payments for months, even before my wedding plans. They've been in trouble for years, hiding it from everyone. The room seems to tilt slightly. What? They remortgaged everything trying to maintain appearances. My wedding was just the final straw. She pulls out her phone, shows me a series of texts. They're asking me to move back in with them, to help with payments. But I can't. I don't have anything left either. Grandpa clears his throat. What exactly are you asking for, Jessica? I don't know. She looks at me, really looks at me, maybe for the first time. Maybe to understand why they could never love us equally. Maybe to apologize for being part of it. Maybe. She trails off, staring at my acceptance letter. Maybe to warn you that they're planning to ask you for help. They know about your scholarship. My stomach churns. They what? Mom went through your mail before you moved out. She knows about the grant money. Jessica stands up. Don't give it to them, June. Don't let them do to you what they did to me. Jessica. I have to go. She heads for the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, I wish things had been different between us. Maybe they still can be. After she leaves, Grandpa and I sit in silence. The acceptance letter seems to mock me from his desk. They'll try to guilt you, he finally says. They'll say family helps family. They'll remind you of every sacrifice they never actually made. I know. The money in your education fund is legally yours. They can't touch it. I know that too. He leans forward. Then what's troubling you? I stare out the window, watching Jessica's taillights disappear down the street. What if revenge isn't what I thought it would be? What if letting them fail makes me just like them? There's a difference between revenge and self-preservation, he says. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them face the consequences of their choices. My phone buzzes, Mother's number. I silence it without reading the message. I need to focus on school, I say finally. On building my own life. Yes, you do. He picks up the acceptance letter. And that's not revenge, June. That's survival. The phone buzzes again. This time, I turn it off completely. Tomorrow, I'll change my number. Tomorrow, I'll start packing for New York. Tomorrow, I'll begin writing my own story. But tonight, I let myself mourn the family I never really had, and celebrate the one that chose to love me anyway. The job offer from Goldman Sachs sits in my inbox like a golden ticket. 6 figures, signing bonus, everything I've worked toward at Columbia. My tiny apartment in Manhattan feels electric with possibility as I read through the details again. My phone rings, Jessica's number. We've spoken more in the past 6 months than in the previous 22 years. They're being evicted, she says without preamble. Next week. I minimize the job offer email. What happened to the payment plan? Failed. Like everything else. Her voice sounds thin, stretched. Dad's drinking now. Mom's talking about moving in with me, but I can barely afford my studio apartment. The cursor blinks on my screen, hovering over the accept offer button. I can't help them, Jess. I know. That's not why I called. She pauses. They're telling people you abandoned them. That you're hoarding your wealth while they suffer. They're even claiming Grandma and Grandpa turned you against them. My hand clenches around the phone. Of course they are. There's more. Mom's been calling your firm, trying to reach your future boss. Saying she needs to discuss her troubled daughter before they make a mistake hiring you. The room tilts slightly. Everything I've built, everything I've earned, suddenly feels fragile. June. You there? I have to go. I hang up, fingers already typing an email to HR. Better they hear it from me first. A knock at my door makes me jump. Through the peephole, I see Mother, looking smaller than I remember, but wearing her expensive coat like armor. I open the door but block the entrance. How did you find my address? Your grandmother. She tries to smile. May I come in? No. Her smile falters. I'm still your mother. Are you? Because mothers don't try to sabotage their children's careers. I was protecting you. She reaches for my arm. I step back. You're not ready for that kind of pressure. Come home. We can figure something out together. As a family. Family. I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. You mean like how you figured out Jessica's wedding? Or Dad's drinking? Or the house you're losing? We made mistakes. Her eyes fill with tears. But we love you. No, you love what I could do for you now. My job offer, my savings, that's what you love. She drops the act, her face hardening. You ungrateful. Don't. I pull out my phone, show her the email I just received. HR already knows about your calls. They've documented everything. One more attempt to contact them, and they'll file harassment charges. You would do that. To your own mother. You did this to yourself. I start closing the door. Just like everything else. If you close that door, you'll regret it, she says quietly. Family is all we have in the end. I look at her, really look at her, and for the first time, I see her clearly. The designer coat that's probably unpaid for. The desperate calculation behind her tears. The woman who wrote that letter 22 years ago, regretting my existence. No, I say. Family is what we choose. And I choose not to be your backup plan. I close the door on her protests, then slide down against it until I'm sitting on the floor. My phone buzzes with a text from Grandma. Your mother just left our house. Are you okay? Before I can respond, another email notification pops up. Goldman Sachs HR, regarding recent events. My hands shake as I open it, expecting the worst. Instead, I find support. They're increasing security at the office. They've documented everything. The position is still mine if I want it. I stand up, legs steady now, and walk to my window. 6 stories below, I watch Mother get into a taxi, already on her phone, probably moving on to her next potential savior. I click accept offer on the job email, then text Jessica, I'm okay. Are you? Her response comes quickly, getting there. Thanks for asking. And June. I'm proud of you. Something shifts inside me, like tectonic plates finding their final resting place. I've spent years trying to earn love that was never freely given. Now it's time to build something new, something honest, something mine. Starting with saying yes to my future, and goodbye to their past. The foreclosure notice arrives on my desk at Goldman Sachs via courier. Not email, not regular mail, hand-delivered, like a gauntlet thrown. My parents' house goes up for auction in 48 hours. I stare at the bank's letterhead, my fingers tracing the embossed logo. I could stop this. One phone call to the right person, one transfer from my bonus account, and they'd have another chance. My office phone rings. Jessica. They're sleeping in their car, she says. Dad's drinking worse than ever. Mom won't stop crying. I close my eyes. Where are you? Working double shifts at the diner. It's all I could find after. She trails off. After Michael took everything. After the wedding fell apart. After our parents' facade finally crumbled. I'll handle it, I hear myself say. June, no. You can't. I hang up. My computer screen shows my investment portfolio, the fruits of 2 years at Goldman. More than enough for a down payment on a modest house. Not their old one, but something sustainable. Grandpa answers on the first ring. Don't do it. You don't know what I'm planning. I know that look in your eyes. I can hear it in your voice. He sighs. Some people need to hit bottom before they can rebuild. They're sleeping in their car. And whose fault is that? My hand clenches around the phone. I can't just let them. Like they let you struggle. Like they let you feel unwanted for 22 years. This is different. Yes, he says quietly. Because you're better than they are. I pull up the real estate listings I've been secretly browsing. 3-bedroom ranch house. Good neighborhood. Within their means, if they'd actually try. I have to try, I tell him. One last time. He's silent for a long moment. Then do it with your eyes open. And protect yourself. I make the calls. Sign the papers. Set up the trust so they can't sell or refinance without my approval. Within hours, I'm standing in front of them in a McDonald's parking lot, where they've been living out of their Mercedes. Mother's mascara is smeared. Father won't meet my eyes. I hold out the keys. It's yours if you want it, I say. But there are conditions. Conditions. Mother's voice cracks. We're your parents. Exactly. And that's why there are conditions. I pull out the contract. No refinancing. No loans. Dad gets help for the drinking. You both get jobs, real jobs, not pyramid schemes or startups. Father finally looks at me. Who do you think you are? The daughter you never wanted. The one who succeeded anyway. I set the keys and contract on their hood. Take it or leave it. Mother reaches for the keys, but father knocks them away. They skitter across the pavement. We don't need your charity, he spits. Robert, mother hisses. Think about. No. He straightens up, swaying slightly. She thinks she's better than us. Thinks she can buy us like some kind of investment. I finish for him. No. This isn't an investment. It's a test. A test. Mother asks. To see if you can actually be parents. To see if you can put someone else first for once. I pick up the keys. But I guess I have my answer. June, please, Mother reaches for me. We can change. Can you? I look at Father, still glaring, still proud even in his defeat. At Mother, calculating even through her tears. Prove it. Get help. Get jobs. Show me you're actually trying. Then we'll talk about the house. I walk away, their protests fading behind me. In my car, I rest my head against the steering wheel, feeling the weight of their failure, and mine. I wanted to save them. Wanted to prove I was better, stronger, more capable. But some people don't want to be saved. They just want to drag you down with them. My phone buzzes. A text from Jessica. They told me what you tried to do. Thank you for trying. And thank you for not giving in. I start the car, the house keys heavy in my pocket. Maybe salvation isn't about grand gestures or proving points. Maybe it's about knowing when to walk away, even when it breaks your heart. Especially then. 2 weeks after my failed attempt to help them, Mother calls with news that makes my blood freeze. We found a house. The bank approved our loan application. I know it's impossible. Their credit is destroyed. Unless the property records confirm my suspicion. They used my name. My credit. My identity. I stand in their new driveway now, watching guests arrive for their housewarming party. Mother's already redecorated, hanging her precious crystal chandelier in the foyer. Through the window, I see familiar faces, family friends, colleagues, all here to celebrate their miraculous recovery. Jessica meets me at the door, her face tight. They're telling everyone you gave them the house as a gift. That you begged them to accept it. Where did they get my information? Mom still had your old documents from when you lived at home. She hands me a glass of wine. I tried to stop them, but nothing. I down the wine in one gulp. Where are they? They're holding court in the living room, Mother glowing as she describes their wonderful daughter's generosity. Father. Sober for the first time in months, nodding along. June. Mother spreads her arms wide. Everyone, here's our guardian angel. The room turns to me, faces beaming. I feel their expectations like a noose. Tell them, I say quietly. Mother's smile falters. Tell them what, darling? Tell them how you forged my signature. How you stole my identity to get this loan. The room goes silent. Someone's glass hits the floor with a crash. June, father steps forward. You're confused. We discussed this. No. I pull out my phone, show the screen. I just got off the phone with the bank's fraud department. They have the paperwork. They have the security footage of you both signing my name. Mother's face hardens. We had no choice. You abandoned us. Abandoned you. I offered to help. I gave you a chance. A chance. She laughs bitterly. You wanted to control us. To make us beg. Just like you've always done, playing the victim. I found the letter, I cut her off. The one you wrote to Grandma when I was born. About regretting me. The color drains from her face. Father looks confused. What letter? Oh, you didn't know. I turn to him. Your wife wrote to Grandma saying what a mistake I was. How perfect life was before I came along. I face Mother again. Is that why you did this? One final attempt to prove I'm the mistake. Emily. Father's voice shakes. Is this true? It was postpartum depression, she stammers. I didn't mean. Like you didn't mean to steal my identity. I pull out another document. The police are already involved. They'll be here within the hour. You wouldn't, Mother whispers. We're your parents. No. You're criminals who happen to share my DNA. I look around the room at the shocked faces. Everyone out. Now. They file out quietly, leaving behind half-empty glasses and uneaten hors d'oeuvres. Jessica stays, standing by the door. You did it, she says softly. You finally stood up to them. Mother collapses onto the sofa, tears streaming. Father just stares at the wall, shoulders slumped. The police will be here soon, I tell them. You can either leave now, or wait for them. Your choice. Where would we go? Mother asks. That's not my problem anymore. I head for the door, then stop. The letter you wrote. You were right about one thing. Life would have been perfect without me in it. Just not for the reasons you thought. I walk out into the cool evening air, leaving behind the sound of Mother's sobs and Father's broken silence. Jessica follows me to my car. What happens now? She asks. Now. I look back at the house, at the crystal chandelier casting shadows through the window. Now I finally stop trying to fix what was never meant to be fixed. Police sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. I get in my car, roll down the window. You coming? Jessica glances back at the house, then slides into the passenger seat. We drive away as red and blue lights paint the street behind us, illuminating the end of one story and the beginning of another. The real estate agent's heels click against the empty hardwood floors of what was briefly my parents' house. After their arrest, the bank agreed to let me sell it rather than foreclose, one final act of cleanup in a mess I didn't create. The offers are all above asking, she says, shuffling papers. The market's hot right now. I nod, walking through rooms still bearing ghost marks of Mother's decorating attempts. The crystal chandelier is gone, sold to pay for their legal fees. Jessica helped me pack up what little remained, both of us silent as we boxed away the fragments of our broken family. My phone buzzes, a text from Grandma, found something else in the attic you should see. Come by when you're done. I'll take the highest offer, I tell the agent. Rush the closing. She beams. I'll draw up the paperwork right away. Standing alone in the empty living room, I remember Mother's tears, Father's silence, the police lights painting the walls. Their court date is next week. Jessica's planning to testify about years of financial manipulation. I submitted my statement in writing, my final words to the people who gave me life but never gave me love. The doorbell rings. Jessica stands on the porch, holding a cardboard box. Found these at their storage unit, she says, setting it down. Thought you should have them. Inside are photo albums I've never seen. Pictures of me as a baby, dozens of them. Mother holding me in the hospital, actually smiling. Father teaching me to walk. Birthday parties I barely remember. There's more, Jessica says quietly. Letters Mom wrote but never sent. To you, to Grandma. They tell a different story. It doesn't change anything. No, she agrees. But maybe it makes it more complicated. I close the box. I'm selling the house. After their legal fees and restitution, there might be something left. Keep it, she says. Put it toward your future. I've got a job interview next week, a real one, at an accounting firm. Time I stood on my own feet too. The real estate agent returns with contracts. As I sign, Jessica watches from the doorway. You know what's weird, she says later as we walk to our cars. I always thought you were the lucky one. You had the strength to break free. To build something real. I had help. Grandma and Grandpa. No. She touches my arm. You had something inside you. Something they couldn't break. At our grandparents' house, Grandma hands me an envelope, yellow with age. Inside is another letter from Mother, dated just after my first birthday. Dear Mom. I was wrong about June. The regret I felt. It wasn't about her. It was about me. My fears. My inadequacies. She deserves better than what I can give her. Maybe one day she'll understand that the problem was never her, it was always me. I just hope she grows up stronger than I am. Love. Emily. She never sent this one either, Grandma says softly. Would it have made a difference if she had? Perhaps not. But it shows that even the darkest stories have other pages we don't see. I fold the letter carefully, place it in the box with the others. Not to keep, but to remind me that the truth is rarely simple, and healing rarely complete. The house sold, I tell her. Above asking price. She smiles. And what will you do with your share? I think about the startup I've been secretly planning. About the investment strategies I've developed at Goldman. About all the things I learned watching my parents destroy themselves with debt and desperation. I'm going to build something, I say. Something that helps people understand money before it destroys them. Something that might have made a difference, if we'd known sooner. Grandma hugs me, and I breathe in her familiar lavender scent. Then you've learned the most valuable lesson of all, she whispers. How to turn pain into purpose. Outside, the setting sun paints the sky in shades of possibility. Jessica's car is still in the driveway, she and Grandpa are probably discussing her job interview. We're building something new from the ashes of what burned. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not yet. But maybe something stronger, the understanding that while we can't choose how our story begins, we absolutely can choose how it continues.